And welcome back. It's the most Irish day of the year, so we have to make something Irish here in the kitchen on this St. Patrick's Day.
The lovely Tara Walker from East Coast Cookery School is joining us, and we're making a traditional lamb stew for lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Happy days.
Very, very old-fashioned. And actually, if you look at the vegetables we have here, you could nearly say it's like the colours of the Irish flag. We have our carrots, our celery and leek, and our onion and our potato.
Beautiful.
So this is a great one. I was just saying earlier, if you were out at the parade, to kind of keep you warm at the end of the day, warm you up. So I'm smoking away here. The first thing I want to do is I have lamb shoulder here. Now, traditionally, you might use a jigget chop. Mutton or hogget, I should say, is like the traditional use in this, but I like a lamb shoulder. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to brown it up, and I want to hear a sizzle. So there's a little bit of smoke there, but you want that, that's good, because we want to seal in all of the flavour. Like, this is there aren't many ingredients in this, so there's a few kind of basic steps that are important to do, and this being one of them. So this seals in all the nice juice and flavour into the lamb, but it also gives us nice caramelisation on the bottom of the pan and on the lamb, which will then go into the stew. So get that browned up a little bit.
And you're not, like, you need coat that in flour or seasoned flour?
No, I mean, you could if you wanted a little bit thicker, but for me, a traditional Irish lamb stew has quite a loose sauce in it. It's not
broth,
like
almost.
you know, a beef stew. Exactly, broth. And you know what's lovely in it, because it's a broth, actually, is pearl barley. I'm not doing that today, but I would often throw a little bit of pearl barley in it. It's very nice. So I'm just going to let those brown a little bit and pop them into another bowl. Now, ordinarily, I'd leave them a little bit longer than this.
You want a bit of colour on them, don't you?
Exactly, we want a bit of colour on them. So I'll get my heat up a little bit here. And what I've done there as well, very purposely, I didn't just bung all the lamb in.
Yeah.
Because if I did that, some of it won't be in contact with the pan.
Right.
And you'll find, actually, sometimes if you do that, the lamb that's sitting on the top is not actually in contact with the pan, and it starts steaming. And then when it steams, it actually loses its own juice.
Yes.
So you'd actually be better off, if you're not going to do that properly, you'd be better off kind of skipping that step altogether, you know. So let's see, there's a nice piece there.
Bit by bit.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see here, I don't know if you can see on camera,
a little bit of
there's a really nice kind of golden caramelised bit.
Lovely.
And there's no liquid in the pan, so it's not losing any of its own juices.
And you only had a little tablespoon of oil in there, wasn't it?
Yeah, just a little tablespoon of rapeseed oil. Any high burning point oil. I wouldn't recommend, say, an olive oil now, because that kind of burns very quickly.
Okay.
So once you have that, and as I say, ordinarily, just leave it a little bit longer. You can just pop it out into a separate bowl. And then we're going to start caramelising our veg too.
In the same pan.
Exactly. See all those nice golden bits?
That's gold,
That
baby.
is, yeah. Because it's such a simple little recipe, not that many sort of elements to it, this bit's so important. So keeping that, carrots in, nice
keeping
chunky
the pan
carrots.
hot?
Keeping it fairly hot, not red hot. I reduced the heat a little bit there. Carrots in, our leeks, nice colours of the tricolour there. Celery, and I've chopped my onions because I want these veg to be like the vegetable part of the dinner, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the onion, I'm just popping in this way because I just want it to do the job of giving us some flavour here and melt away into the sauce. A little bit of salt, stop it from catching and burning. And ordinarily now we'd have the lid on, let it steam for a few minutes. I might pop it on just for a moment.
Okay.
And do you know what I was going to say about this dish? It's a great one for cooking the day before. The one that I made earlier, I actually made yesterday, because the flavour actually intensifies. Yeah, it really, really does. Like, there's only going into this, there's only really stock and my aromatic herbs, which are my thyme and my bay leaf. So there isn't loads of other kind of flavours in there. So it's important just to do what you can to help it along.
The history of the dish, it was simple.
Exactly.
Because
food.
Well, everyone could
Exactly.
make it, and it was with what you had.
Exactly, and the cheaper cut of the lamb
But
as well.
isn't that why there's so many variations in the recipe? Like, some people would use barley because that's what they had.
Absolutely, yeah.
Some people would use the spuds.
Exactly.
I see you have this bad boy.
I brought some
as well.
batch bread from my local bakery in Annagassan, O'Neill's Bakery. It's that big, thick doorstep bread. And that's gorgeous to dip into the sauce, because you'll see now the sauce is quite loose, so it's lovely to have something to mop it up. So, OK, ordinarily, give this a little bit longer, but you can see they're sweating off nicely. You can see the lovely flavour there at the bottom. And now we're going to add our lamb back in. And any juices with the lamb, pop those in as well.
Lovely.
And then I have some stock. This is actually vegetable stock. You can use lamb stock. Even you can use water, to be honest. It won't really make a huge difference in this. And then I have my bay leaf.
And you're not going with rosemary, which is sort of a bedfellow of lamb, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's bay leaf and thyme for this,
Nice.
because I don't really want the rosemary adding too much other flavour to it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, I love a roast leg of lamb
is
with
strong,
rosemary,
isn't it?
say, you know, yeah. But this is kind of all kind of subtle, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. So there's the basis of our sort of brothy stew now. If you wanted, then you'd maybe after about an hour of simmering here, and on a low simmer, like a real simmer isn't actually loads of bubbles coming up.
Yeah.
It's just the odd little bubble sort of appearing on the surface there.
Okay.
So an hour later, we'd pop in just potatoes, just cut into chunks the size you would eat, really, and stir that all through. And another hour, hour and a half, let that simmer
So
away.
you're going about 2.5 hours all in.
Yeah, exactly. I even did mine a little bit longer yesterday because I had the time to do it. So if you're in a hurry, 2.5 hours on a higher temperature. If you're not in a hurry, the longer you can give it, the better on a lower temperature. So I had mine on for about 3 hours yesterday on a really low simmer. And
Your
here it
granny would
is.
put it on before Mass.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Have it by 3.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So here it is, and you come home and the house is smelling
look at
lovely.
that.
So let me just get a little bit of parsley is all important just to pop in at the end. It gives a little bit of freshness, you know.
Beautiful.
So let's get
This
a
is
bowl
my
of
kind
that.
of cooking now, one pot wonder stuff.
Yeah.
And just leave it.
Just leave it. Yeah,
absolutely.
then I cook
The
away all
flavour.
day. And with so many people now using pressure cookers, and this is a great.
Ideal for a slow
Yeah, it's
cooker.
ideal
Yeah,
for a slow
absolutely.
cooker,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And, you know, a great one to have made ahead, you know, do enough to do maybe 2 or 3 dinners during the week.
Yeah.
And then you can just, you know, pop it out of the fridge. As I say, the longer you leave it, the better it becomes, really. And another nice bit of parsley over, just to give a bit more colour. And look at the colours there.
Absolutely.
Very traditional St. Patrick's Day colours.
Well, all right, then we'll taste
yeah,
it then,
have
Tara,
a taste.
if you insist.
And you've got your
Come on,
batch
Aidan.
loaf to dip into the sauce there as well.
I think what we should do is we should do a little dippage first to try the broth. What do you
Have it
think?
buttered and all.
I have it
And I
buttered
have
ready for
spoon
you.
oaks
Here,
for
you
you
have that
there.
one, son.
Okay. Actually, thanks.
We've got loads of time. Now have a little dippage.
First.
And I don't know if you can see on camera here, but the lamb is really meltingly tender. It's just falling apart. Like a shoulder is a sort of tougher piece of meat, so it needs that time to just melt down. And while it's cooking, it's rendering away all its flavour and its fat as well.
As good as the bread is, let's try the lamb.
The bread is amazing. Kudos to your baker.
Yeah.
It's really good bread.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you happy? He's happy, he's quiet.
When I'm not talking, I'm happy. That's good. And so, yeah, and so tender.
So imagine you've been standing out in the cold at the parade, you come home, that's in the pot, almost ready to go, really warming.
Got to put the heat back into you. And remind us of the cut of lamb you used.
I used a shoulder of lamb,
Shoulder,
but you
right.
could use more traditionally would be probably a jigget chop, which is on the bone. So I just think it's nicer when it's off the bone in terms of you're not kind of going at it with a knife and fork, you know, for the person who's eating it.
It's delicious.
Good.
So as traditional as you
delicious.
can get.
Brilliant.
Isn't it? Well,
Beautiful, thanks,
Today's
Tara.
recipe is up on our website, and that's virginmediatelevision.ie/weekendam. Or you can find more of Tara's delicious recipes in her book, Good Food, No Stress.